As Xiao Yan's breathing grew heavy at the sight of the Doushang skeleton, Old Ghost Picking Star on the plaza revealed an uncontainable surge of wild joy. The residual soul imprint left by the Doushang expert had completely dissipated, and the skeleton no longer possessed any offensive capabilities. However, though he knew the skeleton was no longer dangerous, the memory of the terrifying palm strike made Old Ghost Picking Star, despite his impatience, hesitant to act immediately. "Are you all right?" Xiao Yan stood up, and Little Fairy Doctor and the others quickly rushed over, asking with concern. Xiao Yan shook his head with a smile, and seeing that everyone was unharmed, he breathed a sigh of relief. "Fortunately, you reminded us in time, or the consequences would have been unimaginable. That palm strike from the Doushang skeleton was truly terrifying. I doubt anyone here could have withstood it." Heavenly Flame Venerable's eyes still held a hint of shock. Even he had never witnessed such a terrifying Do technique before. This must be the legendary Heavenly Grade Do technique. What we saw was merely the destructive power caused by a residual soul imprint, left by a Doushang expert. If a true Doushang expert were to unleash it, I fear not just this grand hall would be destroyed, but the entire Yiji or even half of the Skeleton Mountains, Little Fairy Doctor said softly. Xiao Yan nodded. He had personally experienced the power of that attack. Had he not reacted quickly enough, he would have been sucked into the black halo and turned to dust. Quite a few people were unlucky, Ziyan chuckled with a hint of schadenfreude. Xiao Yan scanned the plaza and indeed found that the once crowded area was now sparsely populated. Those who had survived were mostly pale with fear, their clothes soaked in cold sweat. They had truly been scared out of their wits. "It's a pity those scrolls were also destroyed," Qin Lin said with some regret. "The real treasure here isn't those scrolls but that Doushang skeleton," Xiao Yan said with a smile, his eyes burning as he gazed at the jade-white skeleton floating above the massive pit. The skeleton not only concealed a heavenly grade Do technique, but its very form was incredibly enticing. Anything left behind by a Doushang expert was a first-rate treasure. Those who survived are mostly powerful experts, but fortunately, they've all suffered some damage. "It seems our side has preserved the most strength," Heavenly Flame Venerable said softly. Xiao Yan smiled slightly and said softly, "No rush, someone will be too impatient to act first." Hearing Xiao Yan's words, Little Fairy Doctor and the others were startled. They glanced towards Old Ghost Picking Star, who was now wearing an undisguised expression of wild joy. "This cursed thing killed many of my Hall of Souls experts. Today, I will personally reduce it to ashes." As Little Fairy Doctor and the others looked on, Old Ghost Picking Star abruptly stood up, shouting righteously. Then, with a flicker of his figure, he transformed into a blurry shadow and darted towards the Doushang skeleton hovering above the pit. "Do you really think we're fools? We worked hard to disperse the Doushang expert's residual soul imprint, only for you to take all the credit." No sooner had Old Ghost Picking Star moved than Huang Xian, Tang Zhen, and Ice River Venerable scoffed. With their keen eyes, they could naturally see the extraordinary nature of the Doushang skeleton. How could they allow Old Ghost Picking Star to claim such a treasure for himself? With their cries, the three of them moved simultaneously. In a few flashes, they caught up to Old Ghost Picking Star. Each of them unleashed a palm strike from afar, the terrifying gusts of wind tearing three black fissures in the space. The fierce attacks hurtling from behind caused Old Ghost Picking Star's expression to change. Huang Xian and the others were all nearly as strong as him. How could he withstand their combined assault? He twisted his body in an unnatural manner, leaving several afterimages in the air, narrowly dodging the three gusts of wind, though his speed was greatly reduced. Having intercepted Old Ghost Picking Star, Huang Xian and the others swept past him, reaching towards the Doushang skeleton with their outstretched hands. "Damn you, courting death!" Seeing this, Old Ghost Picking Star's face turned livid. The previous pretense of alliance had completely evaporated. He reached out with his palm, unleashing a suction force that momentarily froze the three figures in midair. Taking advantage of this, he lunged forward, grabbing one of the Doushang skeleton's arms. However, before he could pull, a sharp gust of wind came hurtling towards his head from behind. Sensing the fierce wind, Old Ghost Picking Star swung the skeleton in front of him, using it to block the attacks from Huang Xian and the others. Bang! The powerful gusts of wind exploded against the skeleton, the force sending Old Ghost Picking Star staggering back. However, with the skeleton as a shield, he suffered no damage. Having seized the Doshang skeleton, the expression of wild joy on Old Ghost Picking Star's face intensified. Without a word, he turned to flee. Trying to escape? No sooner had Old Ghost Picking Star turned than a ghostly figure appeared before him. A massive ruler, imbued with fierce wind, came crashing down. Clang! The heavy ruler struck the skeleton, sending sparks flying. Xiao Yan's arm went numb, but fortunately, the force pushed Old Ghost Picking Star back a step. At that moment, Huang Xian and the others caught up, maintaining their silence but unleashing ruthless Do Chi attacks towards Old Ghost Picking Star's vital points. On the plaza, everyone stared in disbelief as the five figures fought tooth and nail over a skeleton. With their discerning eyes, they could tell that these experts were all aiming to kill. It seems the Doshang skeleton is the real treasure. Otherwise, experts like Old Ghost Picking Star wouldn't be fighting so desperately. Those who had survived the perilous journey were not ordinary individuals. They quickly grasped the situation, their eyes flashing. Some bolder individuals even stood up, showing signs of wanting to join the fray. Unless you have reached the 3-star Dozun level, I advise you to abandon all hope. As these individuals stirred, experts from the Heavenly Demon Phoenix Tribe, Ice River Valley, Blazing Flame Valley, and other factions stood before the massive pit, their expressions cold, their powerful Do Chi surging. Seeing this, many people's expressions changed slightly. The combined strength of these major factions was formidable. Even if they had some skill, they couldn't possibly defeat all of them. Moreover, several truly top-tier experts were still in the air. Even if they could get past the factions, they couldn't possibly contend with those powerhouses. Realizing this, they reluctantly shook their heads, abandoning their greedy thoughts. Treasures belonged to those who were capable. Without the ability, obtaining them would only bring disaster. Seeing that they had deterred these individuals, Little Fairy Doctor and the others breathed a sigh of relief. They also didn't want anyone else to interfere in the skeleton's struggle, as it would only further escalate the chaos. Under the combined assault of three equally powerful experts, Old Ghost Picking Star was struggling. After dozens of rounds, he was beginning to tire and decided to retreat. However, Huang Xian and the others didn't give him the chance. After a fierce struggle, they found an opening and unleashed a devastating Do Chi attack on the Doshang skeleton's left shoulder. The 3 waves of Do Chi struck the same spot on the skeleton, the force enough to split mountains and boil seas. Cracked! The Doshang skeleton was indeed incredibly sturdy, but it couldn't withstand such relentless attacks. A cracking sound echoed, and the left arm that Old Ghost Picking Star was holding onto was severed by the combined force of Huang Xian and the others. Damn it! With the skeleton flying away, Old Ghost Picking Star, holding a section of the jade white arm, roared in fury. He flashed towards the flying skeleton, but before he could reach it, a young figure appeared and seized the severed skeleton. Xiao Yan, you're courting death. Seeing the skeleton in Xiao Yan's grasp, Old Ghost Picking Star flew into a rage. Ignoring his roar, Xiao Yan scanned the area and saw that Huang Xian and Ice River Venerable, along with Tang Zhan, were all charging towards him with murderous intent. He quickly enveloped his palm in purple-brown flames and grabbed the 3 ribs on the skeleton's abdomen, where strange symbols were hidden. With all his might, he snapped them off. Cracked! The Doshang skeleton was extremely tough. Xiao Yan exerted all his strength to barely break the 3 slender ribs. The ribs were cool to the touch like the finest jade. Xiao Yan quickly glanced at them and saw that they were covered in strange symbols, which shimmered with a faint light, appearing to wriggle like living things. With no time to examine them closely, Xiao Yan immediately stored the ribs in his storage ring. At the same time, his heart pounded with excitement. No matter what, he had obtained the treasure. Now that he had it, no one could make him give it back. The Heavenly Great Do technique belonged to Xiao Yan.